Well, I see someone on the show staff saw the new Terminator anime. Quick review, it's not bad, but a tad bit overrated in my opinion. We opened this week in our lead's classroom, which is surprisingly rare for this school comedy, and of course, Koshtan had to point out how it was a peaceful day, which of course is just one of the most opportune type of flags.
平和。短かったな。
Yeah, after 11 episodes of this stuff, it's hard to be surprised by really anything. I mean, we have already established that her antlers are like a second and third nose for Nokotan, so of course they would blow snot bubbles, which, personally, I would have a bit more of a response to seeing a bunch of them fill up the classroom, but you do you, Koshtan. Things did start to take an actual turn when Chiharu's spirit animal started to take up residence on Nokotan's head.
誰も何も言及しないんだ。
Dude, I don't need you to do my job for me. Eventually, though, Nokotan finally had to wake up when Mukai was going to ask her a question, to which she managed to distract everyone by pointing out how someone forgot to take off the tag from their shirt. And that was somehow enough to have the class dismissed for the remainder of the day.
What the hell was that?
Yeah, even for this show, that was kind of random. Thankfully, though, the next segment was the main event of the episode, as a guy looking like a reject from Golden Kamui had arrived. Nokotan could feel his presence and thus quickly hid. This left Koshtan to have to meet this hunter named Soicho Kumatori. Personally, though, I think I'm just gonna stick to calling him Elmer for obvious reasons. Anyway, he left after filling up the chair of a teenage girl.
通報するか。
They won't do anything. They'll probably just make up some sort of excuse like it's out of their jurisdiction or something. I'm not really kidding. The cops in our state are lazy assholes. Anyway, Nokotan came out of the floor, because of course she would, and explained how Elmer was there because it was Deer Day, when hunters would get some deer to help promote Hokkaido's venison market. Of course, that's ignoring the fact that they were in Hino, a prefecture of Tokyo, but this dude was persistent, as Nokotan was his Bugs Bunny. Thus, not wanting to end up on the menu, she spent the rest of the day trying to hide from Elmer. Said hunter, in turn, spent the day looking for her. Well, at least he's not a lolicon. That should kind of shut up Twitter, right? Heartwarmingly enough, Nokotan got some backup from some gals from a previous episode who managed to distract the hunter with the power of social media.
ジンタロインスタにあげよう。
Don't introduce him to Instagram, otherwise he's gonna like start food blogging about grilled cheese or something. But yeah, their chase became a legit entertaining little romp, much like a classic Looney Tunes cartoon, in which they even managed to call back to that Toll Recall reference from the third episode. Yeah, I guess Koshtan wasn't totally off the mark with that. The chase continued into the night when Elmer managed to put a bunch of cameras and traps throughout the school, and seemingly managed to capture his target. Okay, can we just add that face to all the other out-of-context Looney Tune meme faces? The hunter and the hunted decide to end their battle the next day on the roof of the school. Daffy, or rather Koshtan, acted as the witness to such an epic encounter.
何その武器めっちゃ使い。
Makes about as much sense as having lasers on your hilt, in spite of the fact that you could easily hurt yourself with those things. Yeah, that really should have been our first sign that that franchise was doomed. Also, I think this might be a double reference, since that does kind of look like a Klingon bathlet. Because, yeah, one impractical weapon may as well go with another. With that, Elmer got out his rifle, and I think made an Unlimited Blade Works reference with the excessive usage of English just to describe how much he loves his weapon. Though, dude, I think you might be mixing up your Emias there, just saying. However, their epic battle was cut short by the misses, and he had to head home.
これが友情努力勝利。さすがにジャンプ主人公と肩並べ。
I don't know, they might be a little desperate now that Hiro Aka's over. Though according to Nokotan, Deer Day was a monthly thing, so they might need to deal with him again. Fortunately, though, Japan doesn't have a Second Amendment, and Elmer didn't think to put his rifle away. The final segment of this episode featured our two leads supposedly going out to buy a new jersey for the deer, who claimed that she sent her regular outfit to the cleaners, though I think she was more likely in the middle of another one of her molting cycles. Well, at least Meme is gonna get a nice warm skin suit for the winter. But yeah, the two ended up getting lost due to Nokotan being easily distracted by sticks of all things.
11話もやってるのに日野のこと何にもわかんねえ
I mean, to be fair, we have seen more of it than, say, some Precure settings. To make matters worse, there were a bunch of random water balls all over the place, which, based on how much emphasis they put on them here, you'd think this was the first time we've seen Nokotan scared of them. And it was, in the manga. Yeah, this anime segment is actually based on just the 6th chapter of the first volume right after they established the Deer Club. Thus, the dialogue was changed here so that Koshtan wasn't surprised by her friend's fear of the recyclable product. That said, it still would have made more sense plot-wise to do this story before the 3rd episode of the series when Koshtan tried to trap Mr. Tsunoda. However, thematically, I think I understand why they decided to save this for near the end of the season.
ほら早く立てよ
Just already!
Putting aside all of the brain rot and Looney Tunes chases, this show really has been about these two. While Koshtan will probably never admit it, Nokotan has had a positive influence on her life by getting her to open up more to others and not hide behind her needless facade. A tiger is usually hard to approach because they give off such a vicious aura, but when you really get to know them, they can be not that much different than your normal house cat, just a lot bigger. And ironically enough, this is all done by what would normally be their prey. Anyway, they eventually just gave up on trying to make it to the store with Nokotan's lack of direction, so they just went back to the club room where Koshtan fixed up the jersey with patches that, according to the manga, Anko had made in her stitching class. And the episode ended with her and Meme making some comments that they couldn't do in the original manga since they hadn't been introduced yet, and Koshtan again setting up the most obvious of flags, which according to Twitter, next week they're going to do a Your Name parody. Yeah, this is a pretty great episode, with a good combination of heartwarming moments and Looney Tunes antics. The obvious highlight of this one was the chase segment, which did feel at times like something right out of a classic Bugs Bunny cartoon, while still keeping the series' unique vibe. Meanwhile, the final segment was a nice little reminder of the cute relationship between our leads. My biggest complaint might be that weird first segment that didn't even have that much of a funny punchline, but at least it was short and everything else was pretty great. While I'll admit, the Looney Tunes comparisons are more me looking for jokes for this video, the scenario of a cute Animu girl being chased by an exaggerated hunter does produce similar insane and surreal vibes. And this has been kind of built up throughout the series with Nokotan's tall tales that might or might not be exaggerated. Regardless, actually seeing her square off with a hunter was very entertaining to see. Again, the many tropes of the classic cat and mouse chase are fun to see, especially the bits when the latter outplays the former. I would have liked to have seen a few more moments of Nokotan outwitting Elmer, but being a trickster isn't exactly within her character. She's not Bugs Bunny, inspired by comparisons. Still, Elmer was a fun character, and I enjoyed the parodies they managed to pull off. Meanwhile, the final segment was a good calm before the storm story that reaffirmed the relationship between Nokotan and Koshtan. It's just cute to see these two get along, and even though this was an early manga chapter, it actually does make sense to adapt it here after almost a whole season's worth of character development between these two. This should be a good build-up to the likely tragic, and yet also hilarious finale to the series. Also, yeah, the first segment, while not the funniest and just kind of weird, was also perfectly fine, I guess. Thus, overall, this was a really good episode with some fun chase scenes and decently touching moments before we end the season. Whatever time of the year it is, it'll always be deer season as long as this cracker-loving weirdo is around. Thank you for watching, and as always, be sure to check out some of our other videos on this channel. Thankfully, next season seems like it'll be a little easier on my schedule, at least based on what we're planning to cover and what days they'll drop on. So, do look forward to it. Until then, though, for now, my friends, and Nope, you stop. We purposely did not use you. I don't even know why you became such a meme, really.